kids, comics. Silver-haired Bronze Age babe here, yakking about her comic book collection. And at the end of a horrendous week here in the United States and around the world, I thought I would try and share with you a little bit of love that came my way this weekend. And that is this book. Now, if you had watched my live dive back in December, I said I had put in an order for this book and it hadn't showed up. Well, it finally came. This is Super DC Giant number 21, and it's the Love 1971 book. And this is, according to the price guide, a scarce book, meaning that they believe there are only 20 to 100 copies of it available. So it completes, as I get this thing out of the way, the other scarce romance books that I have added to my collection, the Love 1970 and the Giant 100-page Love Stories book. I got all three of these at the end of 2020, at the end of a horrendous year. And I have to tell you that I'm so glad I did. I think the comic book hobby certainly helped me during 2020, and I assume it's going to help me cope with and manage and for the rest of this year and beyond. So I told you I'd do a video when I got it. And I'm a woman of my word. I also wanted to share just a couple other things that have come in over the transom in my romance book collection, which I am really enjoying collecting. This is Falling in Love number 121. I already have a copy of this book, but this is, even though it's got a lot of yellow and foxing on it, it's in much better shape, and it is a classic book of the era, number one, because of the art, and number two, from my perspective, the story that this represents is one of the most egregious women's Livers of Earth stories. I did a video on it. You can check my archive. It's called Boss Lady, and it definitely embodies one of my interests in terms of my collection, which is how comic book companies dealt with second wave feminism and the women's lib movement of the 1970s. They were uniformly hostile to it, and this book is a great example. And I'm glad to have it in a higher grade. Speaking of higher grades, I'm also found a really nice deal on 4 Marvel romance books from that era. Now, I think these are all filled with reprints. But boy, don't you just love the covers of these things. And these are in terrific shape, and they were a value on the eBay. And so I'm like, you know what? I like a value, and I think they look great. And I don't think my romance 1970s collection is complete if I don't have a sampling of Marvel romance books. Those are just great. And the reason that particular lot caught my eye is because it has this is a very high grade copy of My Love number 25. The No Man Is My Master book. This is actually a reprint. They reprinted the entire story and the cover like a year or so after the original appeared, which I do have. And but to find a high grade copy of this in this condition, I was absolutely thrilled. So, yay. And the other thing I've been diving into on the romance world, Jackie Nadell's book, How to Go Steady. She runs a website a blog called Sequential Crush. And it is the most comprehensive blog I've found on the interwebs about romance comics in the 60s and 70s. She and I disagree completely on the benefits of the books from a thematic standpoint, although we are in complete agreement relative to the art What this book is about is the advice columns that appeared in those books. She makes some great points about how actually super helpful and constructive those things were over the years. I just read this book now and I think, gosh, it's such a shame that the creators of the books themselves didn't fashion the actual stories around what the readers were writing in and how the editors were answering those questions. It's just a huge gap between what the readers were clearly interested and concerned about and how they answered those with what was actually in the books. And finally, I guess no romance collection would be complete without this book, Love on the Racks, by Michelle Nolan. And I really enjoyed it, and thanks to the Chicago Public Library for making that one available for this little internet sleuth to find. So there you go. At the end of a very trying week, hey, how about a little love? Well, thanks so much for stopping by. I'll see you next time.